sellout crowd from the Breslin Center. Michigan comes in town. Fans are packed inside and fired up for today's in-state matchup from East Lansing. You're watching ESPN's Rivalry Week presented by Wendy's. This is the Big Ten on ESPN. A streaking Michigan team comes to town to take on Michigan State. It's senior day for the Spartans, and Jenna Allen is the lone senior on the team, playing in her second to last game at the Breslin Center. As we say hello and welcome in with LaChina Robinson, I'm Tiffany Green. Now, you and I both know, and just about everybody in America knows, that anytime two in-state rivals meet, anything can happen.
As if these teams don't have enough to worry about as we head towards March. You're trying to improve your NCAA tournament resume. You want to secure a quality seed for your conference tournament. Oh, it's also senior day, and it's a huge, huge rivalry.
And it's a rematch. These teams met earlier in the year back on January 27th, and when they did, it was all about Michigan. 5 players in double figures, including Deja Church. She had 13 points. Taryn McCutcheon led the way for the Spartans, though, with 14 points and 6 assists, and it was Sparty coming out and holding off Michigan in Ann Arbor to win it 77-73. And if you look at the Big Ten standings, the way that Michigan was able to rise into that top 4 is because they've been on a 7-game winning streak. And if the Big Ten tournament started today, it would be Maryland, Iowa, Rutgers, and Michigan all with a bye to the quarterfinals. But you and I both know, when we talked with Coach Susie Merchant earlier, Michigan State will need a boost from their senior, Jenna Allen.
Yeah, the impact of senior leadership at this time of the year is not just about the numbers. It's about the poise and the confidence. When you only have one senior, there's a lot riding on the shoulders of Jenna Allen to steady the ship for the Spartans and help them get back to their winning ways, Tiffany. They've lost 3 in a row.
You see the numbers for Allen on the season, and in these last 5 games, she's cut that in just about in half, but you know she's going to be playing with some greater confidence and poise in her next to last game here at home. Michigan State has been so tough to defend on their home court. The only blemish coming earlier this week against Ohio State, but they're 13-1 overall at the Breslin Center. Now, this series has pretty much been dominated and owned by Michigan State. Again, we mentioned that meeting back on January 27th, nearly a month ago, and from that time, it's been all Michigan as they have really come alive and come about and finding themselves in the latter part of the season on that 7-game winning streak. That's the longest in conference play in 19 years for this bunch.
Kim Barnes-Rico has done a fantastic job in moving the pieces around, both on the offensive and defensive end, but she has a lot of leadership as well. And you see one of her leaders right there in Hallie Thome.
Well, Thome is one of the starters for the Wolverines. Accompanying her, Nicole Munger, Kenray Johnson, Haley Brown, and Deja Church. Deja Church, we mentioned, had 13 points in that game against Michigan State. Getting things going early and aggressive. Kenray Johnson going to the hoop, and she's whistled for the offensive foul. Michigan State tweaking a couple of things in their starting lineup. We'll see both Madrika Cook and Victoria Gaines getting the start for the Spartans, trying to maybe find a little nice recipe of bench players who can add maybe a lift at the start of the game for Susie Merchant. And the Jenna Allen working on Thome. Nice work around, and Allen hits the first 2 points of the game.
Both teams starting out in man-to-man defense, and that low post matchup is going to be an important one to watch. You saw Jenna Allen on one end, then Hallie Thome coming right back. Both of these teams will try to play inside out.
Susie Merchant, in her 12th season at Michigan State, has done a phenomenal job with this group, and she is really feeling like this is a team that nothing is wrong with. They just need to get back to where they were during the non-conference and early part of conference play as they make a push towards the Big Ten tournament and postseason. Off the mark there from Gaines, but the offensive board from Jenna Allen allows the Spartans offense to reset. Allen, who can stretch the floor as well. Feeling it, you feel like early on, this might be a big game for the senior. You see all smiles there.
And that's important, she's having fun. Jenna Allen has not been having fun down the stretch of the regular season here. She has not scored the basketball well, has not looked like herself.
Church with a contested pull-up jumper, no good. And really for Michigan, this is a group who is just so dangerous because they have a lot of different players that they can call on. Over to Johnson, top of the key. Tough defense from Michigan State. They net a steal, and the look up ahead, Taryn McCutcheon to Victoria Gaines. A 7-0 run to start this rivalry. Fans inside the Breslin Center enjoying it. Quick timeout. Come back with us.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Wendy's new Made to Crave menu, available at participating restaurants now.
Classy move before the game. Jenna Allen handing out roses to the 4 seniors for Michigan, including those senior starters, Hallie Thome and Nicole Munger. Good look there at Kim Barnes-Arico in her 7th season as the head coach for the Michigan Wolverines. The last 3 seasons, she's reached 10 conference wins. That's the first time in school history. Her team winners of their last 7, but right now having to dig themselves out of a hole early, down 7-0. Another steal for Michigan State. Their defense already causing a couple of turnovers, netting them with 4 points on the offensive end. Mia Clouden, the freshman, going to the hoop and hard, averaging 12 points a game, and she has been a steady presence at that point guard position for the Spartans this season.
How impressive has Clouden been? The team said she has been their most consistent player. How often do you hear that about a freshman? Here she comes again, going downhill.
And right at Deja Church, off the mark. Normally a very good finisher. Jump ball, the possession arrow in favor of Michigan State.
If you let Clouden go right, you're going to be in trouble all afternoon. You force her left, she missed that last layup. But right here, she gets all the momentum going downhill. She's an outstanding finisher, really crafty around the rim.
5th in scoring in the Big Ten as a freshman, or among Big Ten freshmen, excuse me. And so Clouden out of Maryland, making an impact in her first season here in East Lansing.
You notice how much of Michigan State's offense they'll run through Jenna Allen when she's in the low block, but also in the high post.
Gaines loses the handle there, recovered by the Wolverines. Church putting her head down, going to the hoop, and she's fouled on the way up.
One of the challenges to trying to guard Michigan at this time of year is they have so many players that have gotten their offensive confidence, Church being one of them. But you look across the board, and you started out the season saying, you know we have to worry about Nicole Munger or Hallie Thome. But look at what Deja Church or Haley Brown or Akinrae Johnson have all done. Even Kayla Robbins off the pine, number 5, right here on your screen, gives them a punch.
Kayla Robbins out of Maryland, the junior, averaging just about 6 points a game. And we mentioned that Michigan State is just so tough to defend here at home. They're opening up this game, showing exactly why. A scrum on the floor. You see 13 points better here than on the road.
How about a sellout crowd?
Yeah.
I mean, the way that the Spartans are supported, you understand why there's a real home court advantage here.
And they had a game earlier this season against Oregon back in December, and that was pretty decent, but this is even better, a capacity of about 14,000 on this snowy Sunday. And right now, Michigan State is making the Wolverines be out of sync on offense.
Yeah, I mean, one of the challenges or one of the troubles for Michigan this year has been their turnovers. I mean, they've had games in conference play where they've had 20 turnovers, but good job recovering here. They can pick up in a full court 1-2-2, which you see them doing right now, applying pressure, which usually gets their energy up on both ends of the floor.
Up ahead to Allen, misses there. Hillman on the rebound, coming back the other way. The other freshman who gets some playing time, and Amy Dilk. Deja Church looking early for her shot. Naz Hillman, excuse me, on the putback.
And that's a bucket. Number 2 in the Big Ten in conference play and field goal percentage. The freshman Naz Hillman, just physical. Ball comes off. She knows how to get it. She's got a knack for it, strong, and a little bit of emotion for the rivalry right here at the end.
Standing at 6'2" out of Cleveland, Ohio, had 17 points and 10 rebounds in their first meeting against Michigan State. And this is a player for seasons to come that you will want to keep your eye on because she is just so physical, so versatile.
Again, three-quarter court 1-2-2 there by Michigan. Dropping back into their man-to-man defense.
And you say Shea Colley checking in number 0 in white for Michigan State. And the ball goes back over to the Wolverines, who, after starting this game out 7-0, being down 7-0, they are now on a 7-0 run. But here, intercepted by Clouden, and apparently she may have stepped out. Well, Zion Williamson could be back for this one. Number 1, Duke, and number 20, Virginia Tech tip-off. Our Super Tuesday doubleheader from Blacksburg at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then it's number 22, Wisconsin and Indiana from Assembly Hall. Both games are on ESPN and the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere.
I know everyone is eager to see Zion Williamson get back on the court. By far, for me, the most exciting player in men's college basketball this season.
For sure, can't forget about R.J. Barrett, who's been holding it down as well. Look, China, we've seen this a couple of times where Michigan State trying to just cut off that pass in the lane. How is it that they're able to do that?
Well, they're just picking up their defensive intensity. I mean, you see Shea Colley in the game off of the bench, and Susie Merchant asks her to step up her defensive intensity, and we see that kind of effort.
So Merchant opting to not start the leading scorer for the Spartans in Colley, averaging 15 points a game. You see her on the wing and the pass down low. Good recognition, and Sydney Cooks will go to the line.
And all the credit to Michigan State for the poise despite the pressure. That's quite a pass out of the trap. If you're trapping in that situation, the idea is to not let the ball out or to get it tipped or have the passer misthrow it. But that was an on-point pass right across the court.
Cooks, the sophomore out of Wisconsin. This is the first of 2 free throws. Cooks, who had started the last 8 games, coming in now off the bench.
Michigan State picking up with some pressure. You've got to attack that.
Munger in rhythm, knocks down the 3. Nicole Munger, one of 2 seniors in this starting lineup for Kim Barnes-Arico, knocking down a big shot.
Good passing out of the pressure. I thought they should have attacked on the backside, but instead a good find to Munger, who is Michigan's most consistent three-point shooter.
And coming back is Kayla Robbins. Robbins with her first 2 points of the game.
It's important to note that in the loss earlier on the season at Michigan, that Munger went out with an ankle injury, so she was not in that game that her team would go on to lose. And her leadership has been invaluable across the board as a senior for Michigan, number 10 in blue.
Down low to Hillman and some contact there. She'll go to the charity stripe. As Hillman will go and shoot a couple. Come out with a bang. In her first season, averaging 13 points, primarily coming off the bench. And this is a player who's won the Big Ten Freshman of the Week 5 times over. And as you mentioned, LaChina, second in Big Ten scoring for freshmen.
When she comes into the game, she plays the top of that 1-2-2, three-quarter, full court defense. And you could feel the energy pick up for the team. But it's just to have a player that comes in to college physically ready. I mean, you look at her build, her mobility, her balance, how strong she is. She's got size as well at 6'2". Just moves well.
Allen able to knock down the three. That was their first field goal in more than 4 minutes. And Allen looking strong with 8 points, evening it up at 13 apiece. And a traveling violation called on Johnson.
One of the biggest concerns defensively for Kim Barnes-Arico was the transition game of Michigan State. They will get it out and they will get it to the three-point line. If you're not there and the spot is up, they're going to shoot it.
Allen, a 38% three-point shooter overall, Michigan State. So tough to defend from the three-point line. First in the Big Ten in three-point field goal percentage at 38%. 14 to go on the shot clock.
I love the activity of a Kenray Johnson, number 14 on your screen. Defensively, she may not get the credit, may not get the steal, but her activity, the tips, the deflections, impressive how much ground she covers.
And what is it that the Wolverines have done on the offensive end, minus that Jenna Allen three, that's held the Spartans at bay after coming out to a strong start?
Yeah, I mean, the key really is getting back in transition, and I think Michigan has also picked up their intensity on both ends of the floor.
And Allen already in double figures with 10 now. Already 1,000-point scorer in her career at Michigan State. And a turnover there for the Wolverines.
The collapse there on Thome is part of Michigan State's defensive scheme. They want to get the ball out of her hands. If she puts it on the deck, they're going to collapse.
And the offensive foul on Deja Church. So 9 turnovers now for Michigan.
Church coming down, and I don't know about that one. You know, that's a hard block charge, is a hard call, but I didn't really feel like Colley has established legal defensive position there.
Cook with a nice move, slicing through the lane, just couldn't finish there. But a foul underneath the basket, and it will stay with the Spartans. Foul called on Naz Hillman. That's her first personal foul.
You see the brace on the right knee of Mardrika Cook. And right here on the box out, you cannot displace anyone with your body. And Cook happened to be off balance, so that helped the call. But she's got that right knee coming back from an ACL injury from last year and has really just struggled in her consistency as she finds a new normal.
So playing on a torn meniscus this season. As Cook misses the first of 2. Redshirt sophomore is a Michigan native. Hillman with the bucket.
I think there was some confusion there on behalf of Michigan State. Didn't really know what defense they were in.
Cook going to the hoop once more. This time gets it to fall.
The knee feels good today. Got the start. She's ready. Great screen.
And you see Taryn McCutcheon maybe grasping her face a little bit after running into Thome. Comes up okay, 18 all. Entertaining first quarter so far from East Lansing, Michigan. And the steal from Colley. And Colley just having a nose for the ball.
There's an increased intensity on behalf of Shea Colley on the defensive end. She did not get to start, as you mentioned. And Susie Merchant has always been a defensive coach, which was interesting to me when we asked her what has been the challenge in this 3-game losing streak. And she said, we were better offensively early. Totally caught me off guard. But she also said that this is one of the better, more talented offensive teams that she's had in recent years.
And Colley thus far seemingly answering the call on defense, the redshirt junior out of Ontario, Canada. Started off her career at South Carolina, then transferred over to Pitt and played her first complete season at Michigan State last year. So a 2-point advantage for the Spartans at home against their in-state rival, Michigan. And again, another turnover. Active hands on defense and unable to finish. On the other end was Colley.
And credit Munger for running back. May have had a little bit of an impact on that missed layup.
Thome from the free throw line. Won't get it to fall. McCutcheon asking for a dangerous three-point shooter. This time she feeds Allen. And Victoria Gaines knocks down the jumper on the baseline. Time winding down in the first period. Deja Church, the step back three, no good. Michigan State started this game off on a 7-0 run. They lead by 4 after the first quarter. As Hollywood prepares for its biggest night with the Oscars, we thought we'd get on the fun as well. So we've got a few categories we want to bring your way. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress, and Best Supporting Actress. We'll first go with Best Picture, which correlates in basketball terms to Game of the Year. Here are the nominees. Miami taking down Louisville back on February 7th, and then you go all the way back to December in 2018. It was UConn and Notre Dame, the Huskies getting the best of them, and then recently Oregon and Oregon State and Corvallis. That was a great win. The winner is, everybody wait for it, boom, UConn taking down #1 Notre Dame. Why, LaChina, did that one win Best Picture?
Well, first of all, just let me say that I did not have total control over the nominees. However, this is the game that I chose because UConn Notre Dame sets the tone for the season. Like, whatever happens between those two programs that have arguably been the most successful over the past however many years, decade, I guess, controls it for everyone else. But also the drama of this year's game in particular really brought to light how deep the rivalry runs. I mean, the in-game chatter, the trash talking, the whole social media, Breanna Stewart, Muffin McGraw thing. I mean, it was drama. Loved it.
High drama here as the Huskies actually continue their regular season win streak to 122 games back at that time. Allen on the rebound, but I will say, somebody who's really impressive right now is Miami out of the ACC, and they've been able to do an amazing job, not only beating Notre Dame, but also Louisville in a span of 10 days. They also took down FSU earlier today.
Yeah, I mean, Katie Myers done a great job. She has a floor general in Laura Cornelius, who is back after missing last season with injury, but Mesa Hoff and Beatrice Montpremier in the post. A lot to deal with.
Again, going deep into the shot clock is Madrika Cook, who's able to knock down the three.
Michigan came into the second quarter, playing a 1-2-2 zone, and Michigan State's done a great job of finding open shots against it.
Haley Brown trying to answer it back as McCutcheon bringing it up the court. Michigan State out to their largest lead of the game of 9. Just out of sync right now a little bit on that offensive possession for the Wolverines.
Yeah, Michigan's playing fast. They need to slow down, regain their composure. I understand that, you know, there's a big crowd here, and Michigan State's definitely giving them a punch, but they got to slow down and find their options on offense, play their game.
Munger using the screen around for three, drops it again.
And that's what a senior does. Steadies the ship.
Munger had 7 threes against Washington earlier this season, so she can knock them down when given the opportunity. Good recognition there. Gaines nearly losing her balance and is called for the traveling violation. Well, this big Monday matchup is a crucial one for number 12 Kansas. They've won 14 straight Big 12 regular season titles, and number 23 Kansas State would like nothing more than to help snap that streak. 9 Eastern, 8 Central on ESPN and the ESPN app. And currently, Wildcats sit at the top of the Big 12 at 10-3 with Kansas a game back.
And how about Baylor? Lady Bears, 9 straight Big 12. Kim Mulkey and Bill Self have found the magic potion in that league. I'll tell you, I watched Iowa State Baylor yesterday, and the gap between Baylor and the rest of the Big 12 is just, it's wide. And Bill Finley's done a great job at Iowa State. It just speaks to how good Baylor is. It's hard to win at Iowa State.
Lady Bears have only dropped 1 game this season. That was earlier in the year. The Stanford, Kim Mulkey's group out of Waco is doing a phenomenal job. 3 to go on the shot clock. Johnson gets it up. And the foul underneath the basket on Sydney Cooks. Her second personal foul.
So that's a key cog for each team with 2 fouls. As Cooks goes to the bench, and Hallie Thome with 2 personal fouls as well for Michigan.
Right there, wide open underneath the basket is Naz Hillman. So Hillman now with 8 points, shooting 3 or 4 from the floor in just 11 minutes. They tried to force it into Allen and right into the hands of Haley Brown, number 15. And Hillman, too deep under the basket, gets position and up for the bucket.
How impressive is this freshman?
Yeah.
She's playing the top of that 1-2-2 at 6'2", 0 in blue, wide, using her length to take away vision, and then she's the first player down the floor running hard and got rewarded.
Johnson on the board. They try to go to Hillman once more, just trying to force it in there.
Half of having success, or for freshmen to have success, is them learning just how to play hard. And Hillman has outplayed her opponent for much of this game in every matchup just because she runs the floor hard, she posts hard, she's going to go to the boards on every possession. Really enjoying watching her play in person.
She's won a gold medal with USA Basketball, the U18 team, so having some international experience. So helping her to be college ready as Victoria Gaines backs it in and off the bank board. Amy Dilk tucking it and dropping it. Amy Dilk, the guard out of Indiana, who missed a few games with a knee injury. Happy to have her inserted back into the lineup. Came back against Rutgers. And now Allen trying to work on Brown. And wisely throws it back out. Colley off the mark. The kick out and the foul as Tori Osment will go to the line and shoot three. Well, it's a fun one here from East Lansing. 2 points separate these two in-state rivals. Sparty leads.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Mountain Dew. Do the do.
All right, thanks so much. And of course, that's a welcome sign for all Ducks fans to see Ruthie Hebert back on the floor. Meanwhile, when you're looking at the Big Ten Conference and those teams who are expected to move on to the NCAA tournament as of now, Charlie Creme has 6 teams out of the Big Ten, with Maryland leading the way along with Iowa, Rutgers, the 2 teams we're seeing here, as well as Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, some of these teams in the Big Ten have to be happy that the regular season is winding down because they're not trending in a positive direction. Michigan State being one of them. Rutgers has had a rough slide. I mean, but it's a conference that we've talked about all year. Just, you don't know what to expect. How about Indiana? Terry Morin's team just really playing impressive basketball along with this Michigan squad. But Michigan State giving them all they can handle so far this afternoon.
Trying to cut back at that lead is Hillman.
Naz Hillman once again finding herself down the floor early and is rewarded for it.
12 points for the freshman. And now a big 3-point threat back on the floor for Michigan in Munger, number 10 in blue, one of the seniors on the floor. Amy Dilk working on Clouden. Brown heaves it up, no good. And just playing at such a fast pace, the freshman turns it over.
Clouden on that baseline. Good job by Munger getting over, establishing legal defense, and the charge is called.
And this is what we expect with China, because aren't rivalry games always so physical?
Absolutely. I mean, that's part of what makes a rivalry game. It's just, it's a fight. You know, it's definitely a physical fight. It's mental. And all the emotion that goes into it, knowing how much is on the line and bragging rights more than anything.
Munger once again dropping another 3. Michigan thus far is 4 of 6 from three-point land. McCutcheon trying to answer back. Allen with the big overboard and the and one.
Jenna Allen sending a message. It is my senior day. And she is pulling her team through this game. Just fighting on the glass here. And Michigan is a very good offensive rebounding team. Michigan State better defense rebounding percentage. But there, Jenna Allen just showing what she can do. Again, what her impact not only on this season, but throughout her career has not always been in the numbers, but just in her leadership. And we saw a lot of emotion on that play.
15 points now and 7 rebounds for Jenna Allen. And there, keeping her hands up, getting a deflection, the turnover, can't speak enough about Jenna Allen and just what she's been able to do. And when we asked her just about what this rivalry means to her and maybe one of the most memorable games for her, she goes back to her sophomore season, having beaten Michigan in the Big Ten tournament. But she says, you know what? I think today is going to eclipse that.
Calling her own number.
You can't leave Munger with any space. She can knock him down, misses there. And McCutcheon, as you may have said earlier, LaChina, been a little quiet on the offensive end for the Spartans.
Yeah, she struggled in her last few games as well, shooting the ball. And Susie Merchant said, I like the looks. She's getting the looks, just has to score the basketball. But her impact has been felt with the assist this afternoon. She's an outstanding defender, one of the best in the Big Ten in steals. Great tenacity on that end of the floor.
Off the backboard is Cauley. So Shea Cauley, the redshirt junior out of Canada, coming off an 18-point performance in that loss to Ohio State. And just so calm, cool, and collected on the wing was Haley Brown.
And she has been on fire from three-point land, 12 of 18 in her last 4 games. Michigan just has to be crisper with their passes. They've been rather careless, and there she is, McCutcheon.
You better watch out, folks. Nearly 40% from three-point range. They're ranked second best in the Big Ten. Coach Merchant says, I need you to knock down those shots. That's a good sign there. 5-point lead for the home team Spartans. Once again, the pass from Brown to Hillman, cutting backdoor to the basket.
Great read off of the curl. Over help, perfect pass.
McCutcheon working, picks up her dribble. Now with 6 to go on the shot clock, Cauley has to create. And a whistle. Foul goes against Kayla Robbins. It's her second personal foul, so she'll go to the bench. Just over 14 ticks left here in the first half.
Kim Barnes-Arico has been limited personnel-wise by some foul trouble in this first half. Johnson Anthony.
The rebound from Gaines. Does she get it back up in time before the buzzer? Yes! Victoria Gaines with the bucket before the buzzer.
Shot goes up, and how about Gaines inviting all the physicality? That's in.
Well, a great opening 2 quarters for Michigan State here at home. We talked about just how tough they are here at the Breslin Center. That ends the first half, 42-37. Let's send you to the studio with John Brickley. You're watching ESPN's Rivalry Week, presented by McDonald's. A 5-point advantage, and Sparty and company here in front of a near sold-out crowd at the Breslin Center, loving every minute of it as we say hello and welcome back LaChina Robinson, Tiffany Green. And look, we told you at the start of the broadcast that this is a rivalry game, and when we talked with Susie Merchant at shoot-around today, she said, look, I don't need to get my team up for this. 3-game skid, it's Michigan, folks.
Yeah, Michigan State has responded well coming off of that 3-game skid. Just played with a lot of intensity, and their offense is working, and that's something that Susie Merchant said would need to work. But I've been most impressed with their defense. Their ability to force turnovers has really really caused Michigan some missed opportunities.
Meanwhile, playing inspired is the only senior for the Spartans, Jenna Allen.
Yeah, well, it's senior day, and seniors either play very well or not well at all. Well, Allen decided to get her game back on track today. 15 points in the first half, 7 rebounds, and it was just more of how involved, engaged, emotional, confident she was for her team in that first half.
Well, 50% from the floor ain't too shabby if you're Michigan. Again, they're staying in this ball game, shooting very well from three-point range. You see back and forth there on the rebounds, pretty even, but they have to take care of the ball in this second half. 13 turnovers, as you mentioned, LaChina. 7 steals for Michigan State. So it's the Wolverines who've given up 14 points off of those 13 turnovers. Fun first half. Second half is underway. And again, that has been there all day. A missed bunny there from a Kenray Johnson, but we saw Naz Hillman hitting a couple of those buckets. They go back down to Allen, who kicks it out.
So one change right away for Michigan defensively. You see the dig on Jenna Allen. They weren't really sending any kind of double consistently in the first half, and she was getting busy one-on-one.
Good show of the ball, and then kicks it out, and stolen by Johnson. Munger in the Thome, who was held scoreless. Only 2 shots put up in that first half, and those are her first 2 points of the game.
Her Thome is left-handed, so if she gets her momentum going left, it's going to mean trouble. She's also shooting 54% from the field on the season.
Clouden taking it all the way in, the hoop and the horn.
I love the handoff action for a player like Clouden because it's already hard to guard, but when she comes off with some speed, it's difficult to get in front of her. Good job by Allen there, and then help defenses asleep.
You underlined this point earlier in the game with China about a freshman coming into a program and being a consistent player. That's something that you don't hear of very often, but when you look at some of their big wins, especially that one against Iowa, it was Clouden who helped to lead the way for the Spartans.
Well, and being a freshman point guard and leading a Power 5 team, a team like Michigan State that has had success, Susie Merchant, had high expectations. Now, if Clouden can be a little more vocal, that's the one thing I noticed. She's really quiet, so I expect that part of her leadership to mature as time goes on. And good dig there by the freshman.
8 steals now for the Spartans defense. McCutcheon picks up her dribble and finds Allen going to the basket and misses there. Thome fouled underneath.
Spartan foul called on number 2, Cook. Team's first of the quarter.
Hallie Thome, a player that they want to get going on the offensive end. Averaging 13 points a game, reached 2,000 in her career last week, number 30 and blue. They drop it down to her. Thome gets it again. The lefty, very crafty around the rim. Clouden being guarded by Church. Clouden very quick. She was fouled on the way to the basket. We saw a couple of Michigan players in foul trouble in that first half. Thome, Robbins, and Johnson all with 2.
Well, Susie Merchant has just made the call to put the ball in the hands of Clouden and let her go to work. Extremely hard to guard. So she's either going to get to the rim off the bounce or force a rotation. Either way, it should open up the floor. We'll see how Kim Barnes-Rico responds.
Clouden knocks that one down. You see her numbers and the impact that she's had in her first year at East Lansing. They go back to Thome again. She kicks it out to Dilk, and Dilk with a long two misses. 3-on-3, Taryn McCutcheon. We saw her drop one from deep. Instead, goes down. Allen tries to use the left hand, too strong. Johnson missing there, and Brown had that one deflected.
Good defense here right at the rim, as you thought that Brown had a clean one. I thought she got fouled, but actually from that angle, didn't see anything.
So Jenna Allen gets a breather. Sydney Cooks checks back in. Haley Brown may have been deflected a little bit from Gaines for that three-point attempt. Johnson comes away with it. Michigan down by 6.
Michigan loves the high-low set. Let's see if they try to get something here.
And some contact between Dilk and Clouden.
Foul call on number 1, Dilk, her second, team third.
Well, during this 3-game slide, Susie Merchant talked about the fact that her team just needs to get a little nastier and mentally tougher. And you can see in this big rivalry game, they've come out and responded well thus far.
And it's hustle plays like what we just saw. I mean, it's getting your hands on extra possession, being in the right place. Victoria Gaines, though it may not show up on the stat sheet, she covers a lot of ground. Redshirt junior, having her best or most productive year on paper in terms of field goal percentage and stats across the board, but does a lot of the little things like saving that possession.
Versatility of the 6'1" forward. Number 15 and White. Cooks with the rebound, hands up for Michigan, and it goes down. She'll go to the line for one.
The next level for Clouden is how she learns how to make plays off the bounce when she's not going to the rim. So not a good look there going left, but it's all about the second opportunities. And Michigan State has been solid on the boards all season long. Both them and Michigan, two of the best rebounding teams in the Big Ten.
And Allie Thome picks up her third personal foul. Correction, it was Munger who picked up that personal. Cauley, the turnaround, she makes it look so easy, LaChina.
Good decision by Clouden. Could have forced up a shot there. Higher percentage look to get it to Cauley in the post.
Thome trying to go up and under. The lefty misses. Cauley, who's averaged 23 points in her last few games, dishes it over to McCutcheon. Gaines again.
Michigan State is gaining momentum from the offensive glass.
They're the last team to beat Michigan. We've seen a great turnaround from the Wolverines since that last meeting. But right now, it's all Michigan State. They lead 52-41. You're watching ESPN's Rivalry Week presented by Wendy's as we continue our theme of the Academy Awards, which is coming up later tonight. We already told you best game of the year. How about the best actress nominees? Sabrina Ionescu out of Oregon, Megan Gustafson of Iowa, and Asia Dur of Louisville. You have a pick of the litter here and several terrific players throughout, but the winner is, no shocker here, Sabrina Ionescu is averaging nearly a triple-double in her junior season.
I mean, it's really not even up for discussion because of the number of ways she can impact a basketball game with her scoring, the assists, the rebounding, and just the way she plays the game. Everyone else around her has to increase their level of intensity, competitiveness. I mean, she is relentless. I had the opportunity last year. I was in the region with Kelly Graves and his team, and just a fantastic program. And they have fun. That's the thing. I mean, that group of what was freshmen and then sophomores, they're juniors now. They've learned how to play and manage the pressure. Happy to see Ruthie Hebert healthy, as we heard Rebecca Lobo talking about in studio, because she is vital. If you're going to have that balance on the offensive end, you've got to have inside game as well as a three-point attack, and Ruthie Hebert is money at the rim.
Yeah, second in field goal percentage behind Megan Gustafson, who leads the NCAA in that category, as well as scored, averaging about 27 points a game. But you go back to Ionescu, 6 triple-doubles this season, 16 for her career. Man.
And one thing she told me earlier to start the year was that her brother was living with her. She had her twin brother who was actually staying with her, living with her. And I said, who's more responsible? Oh, me, by far. So not only is she a leader on the court, but leader in family as well. My little brother doesn't listen to me. I got to figure out how to make that work.
Ionescu, a player who's expected to head to the WNBA after this season.
Yeah, it's going to be something to watch. All of the players that could declare early for the WNBA, what happens with that? Ionescu and Jackie Young.
And speaking of, Arike Ogunbowale, who is in her senior season with Notre Dame, the all-time leading scorer, eclipsed Skylar Diggins' record from a while ago. And so when you think about a player like that, Christine Anigwe.
Yeah, I want to see Christine Anigwe moved up, and we may see her later on in our Oscar preview show. I need to see her moved up in this draft. I just have a tremendous respect for her athleticism, and if you don't watch the WNBA in person consistently, it's hard to really gauge how fast, athletic, quick. I mean, it's a whole different ball game. And so those physical attributes, your length, those things start to matter even more. The pace at which you play the game, those are the small separators. And Anigwe reminds me a lot of the kind of intensity that the Agumake's played with.
Now, you're not partial to Christine Anigwe in any form or fashion because she's a post player.
That's possible. It's not impossible.
Just checking. Some full court pressure there from Michigan. Picked up Amy Doak with the steal. The left hand bunny missed by Munger.
We've seen some easy baskets missed by Michigan in this game. Those are the ones you have to have on the road in the tough environment. But I like the way they're trying to pick up their intensity, starting with the defense.
You mentioned their last loss back on January 27th to this very opponent they're facing today. They've reeled off 7 straight wins. Well, folks, a reminder, Zion Williamson could be back for this one. Number 1, Duke, and number 20, Virginia Tech in action as they tip off for the Super Tuesday doubleheader for Blacksburg at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then it's number 22, Wisconsin and Indiana from Assembly Hall. Both games are on ESPN and the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. For the Hokies, Kerry Blackshear Jr. and John Mooney can be difference makers in that game. Speaking of big games coming up, he'll be in Syracuse tomorrow, China, as the Orange will host Notre Dame in the Carrier Dome.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Jenna Allen will get an opportunity at the free throw line, but you know, a lot of the country has not seen Tiana Monokahia play, the point guard for Syracuse that led the nation in assists last year. From Australia, had an interesting journey getting to college basketball at Syracuse, but she's fiery and has outstanding vision. She's an elite passer. And Quentin Hillsman has just done a fantastic job in building his program over the years. You know, they play that zone just like the Syracuse men. They shoot the three. And so it will be a fun one to watch, especially because they've gotten more depth over the years, and they're going to take on a very tough Notre Dame team.
It would be a huge resume-building win if they can knock off the 5th-ranked Fighting Irish. Dilk able to nab the board.
It has not been an easy afternoon for Dilk. Keeping in mind this is only her 2nd game back after missing some time. Actually missed 3 games with a knee injury suffered against Nebraska. And we're talking about the future. This point guard for Kim Barnes-Arico has had a solid year. 6 foot, flirted with the triple-double. She can rebound it a little bit of everything, but it's been a tough return for her. You see she has that right knee. She's got a brace on that right knee.
Hillman, who's been quiet here in the second half after picking up 15 points in this game. And again, ball continues to swap hands from white to blue jerseys. If you're Kim Barnes-Arico, you're thinking to yourself, 19 turnovers. We've already surpassed our season average of 16. And we're only down by 10 points. And they still are right in this ball game.
And a majority of those turnovers happened in the first quarter. They had 11 turnovers in the first quarter. So you're absolutely right. They've scrambled away some possessions, but still not seeing that confidence in their offense that we've seen in this 7-game win streak.
Naz Hillman tried to save it, last touch by 00 in blue. But all things right now working well for Michigan State here at home. McCutcheon thought about the deep 3 instead to Cook underneath the basket. She gets it to go and to the charity stripe.
There's just been a different level of determination for Michigan State on this end of the floor. Good find by McCutcheon. The thing about McCutcheon as a passer is she's 5'5", so she's often the smallest player on the court. But look at how she's able to see over outstretched hands. She does that a lot in games. And you feel like she's kind of evolved because of her small stature and has learned to just see different angles. She's a good passer over the top.
Well, McCutcheon already now in 3rd place all-time at Michigan State for career assist. She's got 6 this afternoon. Hillman. Naz Hillman, who has been so good from the floor, only missed 1 shot now with 17 points leading the way for the Wolverines, cuts this lead to single digits. Holly, number 12, with the bounce pass to Cook. Just out of control there, not able to hang on to it was Cook. Munger kicks it out to Johnson. Allen right there.
It's one of those passes.
And how much is it about playing your rival? You know, they were the ones who helped spark your win streak currently. How tough is it to go on the road, about an hour away, play in this tough arena?
At this point of the game, you've kind of settled into the game, right? And so it's a lot leading up to it. But at this point, you would hope some of that emotion and jitters has kind of calmed down and you're playing another conference game.
Well, this big Monday matchup is a crucial one for number 12, Kansas. They've won 14 straight Big 12 regular season titles, and number 23, K-State would like nothing more than to help snap that streak. 9 Eastern, 8 Central on ESPN and the ESPN app. 2004, that's the last time Kansas didn't win the Big 12. You want to know what the #1 hit was back in 2004?
Tell me, Tiffany.
Come on, ATL. Let's go, ATL.
What the #1 hit was? Music?
Yeah.
Wow, where did this come from?
Yeah. Usher. ATL.
Oh.
Come on. Rep it. I did that because you're in the A.
I mean, you're more of a musical wizard than I am, but yet and still, I know my music. I just kind of missed that one. I didn't know where we were going.
I was just checking to see if you were like,
next time
listening.
I'm going to make you. No, I don't listen to you. You should already know that. Next time I'm just going to have you sing it. That'll be it.
I'm not sure if the folks at home would appreciate that very much. Double team. Hawley able to get out of it. Time winding down in the third. Michigan State on that kickball with 1.8 seconds remaining to go in the third frame. Cauley before the buzzer. No good. Either way, Michigan State with an 11-point lead as they head to the final period of this one. Jenna Allen feeling good. All right, thanks so much, John. A great crowd here at the Breslin Center. 11,368 reported to see this big game against Michigan. And when you take a look at the Spartans' tournament resume, some key wins, especially early in the season against Oregon, and they dropped both Big Ten opponents in Iowa and Maryland as well. Current 9 seed in Charlie Cream's bracketology.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a good-looking resume, but I'll tell you this, for seeding purposes, I like it when the committee looks at the last 10 games. How you fare down the stretch, to me, is important because some teams lose their mojo. And I think part of Michigan State's issue in these last 3 games is more about what happens when you become the hunted, right? So they went from, surprising everyone, beating Oregon, doing some really cool things, to now everybody wants to beat them, right? So it's a change in mentality, and we see them picking that up today. But you definitely want to be playing your best basketball down the stretch of the regular season. I feel like the committee gives you a little leniency when it comes to conference tournament because anyone can get beat once. And sometimes it's a team's last opportunity to extend their season. But you want to be playing your best down the stretch.
So a strong showing for the Spartans here today. And again, they were among the top teams in the country at one point, and now they've slid all the way down to 10th in the Big Ten standings for Michigan, sitting at 10-6 in conference play, ahead of Ohio State. We mentioned at the top of the broadcast, if the Big Ten tournament started today, Michigan would have one of those 4 bye seeds.
And they were in 10th place just a month ago. And Kim Barnes-Rico said, listen, we were on the road early a lot. They play an 18-game conference schedule, and early on, they took their bumps in terms of the schedule. And it's been kind to them on the back end.
Well, another thing she mentioned was the fact that, they didn't necessarily hit the panic button when things weren't going their way. And that starts with your coach, right? Taking your cues from your head coach. And Susie Merchant from Michigan State not pleased with that last call against her Spartans. The body's hitting the floor. The ball's still bouncing around. And Dilk able to come up with it. And a shot clock violation on the Wolverines. So costly turnovers all day have hurt Kim Barnes-Arico's team. They have 8:16 remaining in this one.
There's still a lot of basketball to play, and it's all about how you respond. And I don't feel like Michigan has been optimistic about the time they have ahead left in this game. They've kind of hung their heads a little bit, but maybe this will start something.
Well, the two freshmen there in on that play. Hillman missed. Dilk with the putback. And Thome comes over to meet Clouden just with her hands up. And she picks up her fourth personal foul.
Yeah, that's definitely a foul. Body contact there by Thome.
And so now have to be really careful. Thome with 4 personals. Hillman, Church, and Johnson all with 3. So Haley Brown will check in. Thome will take a seat for the time being. McCutcheon for the deep 3. That's where she's been living all day. Knocking them down. That's just her second of the day, and both of her buckets have come from three-point range. So now a Kinray Johnson coming back the other way. Big basket right here.
Big baskets are often about timing, as we saw from Taryn McCutcheon, and she felt like there was some momentum. So what happens on the other end? Michigan responds, and that's important because Michigan State could have run away with that 3 right on through and rode the wave, but they come back and they stay focused, and this is an opportunity for a 3-point swing.
Well, Johnson is one of those players who's really come on in the month of February. She was deflated earlier in the season, had a broken hand for 3 games, but Ochani also liked her defensive effort as well. Foul there on the double team. Deja Church, the lone Michigan native on the roster for the Wolverines, picks up her 4th personal.
You recognize the timing in the game right now. This is when it becomes a rivalry game once again. The desperation starts to set in. So that means you have to fake a pass to make a pass. There's going to be more defensive pressure. You have to be careful not to pick up dumb fouls, right? Because they start to mount at this point of the game. But also you just have to be more intentional about where you're going with the basketball on offense.
Well, finishing at the rim is the freshman Nia Clouden. Brown. They dump it down to Hillman. Hillman again, who has been so tough around the rim.
Clouden beat Michigan's entire defense on this possession, splits the trap, or what looks like it wanted to be a trap, and gets right to the rim, no one home. She's been able to do that at will, basically, throughout the course of this game.
1-2-2 pressure from Michigan, and now trapping at the top, near half court. And a timeout on the floor. The Spartans spin a free pass. We'll step aside here from East Lansing. Rivalry week presented by Wendy's. Michigan State up in this one. Another big one coming your way after this. South Carolina and Tennessee. Our Kara Lawson's in Knoxville to preview that one.
At the top of the hour, South Carolina comes into Knoxville, Tennessee to take on the Tennessee Lady Vols. They will be without Taya Cooper. That's a big loss for them, their leading scorer. This game not only has SEC tournament implications, it also has NCAA tournament implications. South Carolina with their eyes on hosting a first, second round, and Tennessee trying to get in the tournament.
All right, that's one of those rare things to hear Tennessee trying to get in the tournament, just of the historical dominance that they've had. But everybody's playing for something this time of year, LaChina.
Yeah, and the SEC is tough. And, you know, Kara mentioned the loss of Taya Cooper, which is huge for a South Carolina team that had a small margin for error to begin with. Dawn Staley has done an outstanding job, one of her best coaching jobs, in my opinion, of retooling them after the loss of Asia Wilson. But again, a small margin for error, especially in that backcourt, and Taya Cooper, missing her is huge.
Well, not paying attention to the shot clock coming out of that timeout. The violation on the Spartans. The Wolverines a chance to continue to cut away at the lead, and her foot was on the line, so a long two for Nicole Munger.
Munger's been able to use the dribble behind the three-point line to get separation, and that was a nice screen as well to get her open.
Just under 6 to go here from East Lansing. It's been Michigan State who's really controlled this game from the tip. Michigan has gotten within 4 in this second half, but that's as close as they've been. Still fighting away in this one. Right into the hands of Amy Dilk, the freshman, pushing the ball up the floor, taking it all the way. And she'll shoot two.
Well, that was a good collapse defensively by Michigan on Jenna Allen, which forced that turnover. Michigan's got to get some pep in their step, get the energy up. And Munger hitting that three and then getting a stop on the other end. If they can capitalize at the free throw line, again, tons of time in this game.
And hitting free throws, one of those ways you can help chip away at that lead. .70% free throw shooting team, and Dilk missing both. It stays with the Wolverines, and Jenna Allen picking up the personal after having a red-hot first half and starting off the game so strong. She's only scored 1 point here in this second half.
Hillman doing what she's done all afternoon. Physical presence, getting to the basket. Jenna Allen over the top. Called for that foul. And I believe that Michigan is in the bonus. So that means that Michigan's going to be getting to the free throw line quite a bit in the last 5:29. You got to be looking to go inside, especially with Hillman, who's very physical. But you also have to knock down your free throws.
Yep. 62% free throw shooter is Naz Hillman. Gets that one to rim out. So the last couple of trips down the floor, 4 easy points. unable to convert for the Wolverines. In the corner, McCutcheon no good. Rebound being fought for by both Johnson and Allen. Michigan State will inbound it under the basket. Getting it down to Allen. Allen just short. Now under 10 to go on the shot clock. They get it down to Hillman, and Hillman continues to bang her way down low. She's got 23 points leading for the Wolverines, and you see her trying to lead that defensive effort. Called for the foul. Michigan continuing to stay in this one. They're clawing their way back in it.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Wendy's new Made to Crave menu, available at participating restaurants now.
All right, and continuing with our Oscars theme, we go to Best Director, which equals Coach of the Year. Wes Moore has done a very nice job at NC State. Kim Mulkey at Baylor holding down the Lady Bears, and Jeff Walz, who is year in and year out one of the great offensive minds in college basketball. Those are the three nominees. The Coach of the Year goes to, no surprise, Kim Mulkey. And of course, we could add a lot of coaches in there, but what stands out to you about Kim Mulkey?
I'm glad you said that, because I'm just putting my disclaimer in there again that I had nothing to do with who the finalists were. But I did pick Kim Mulkey. I mean, I just think Baylor has been not only dominant in the Big 12, but, you know, she had to retool some things. The point guard position most notably, and that's not easy to do. But their defense, the way they've committed to the defensive end of the floor, just taking teams consistently out of their game plan, it's impressive. And Kalani Brown and Lauren Cox are a lot to deal with, but Juicy Landrum, her improvements, the way she's played, Moon has stepped in some situations where they've needed. They've had much more depth than I expected, and that's hugely coaching, right?
Yeah.
Player development behind the scenes, putting the right players in the right places, and #1 overall seed right now, and no one sees that changing. I think I heard Brenda Van Langen share a stat that Baylor has won the Big 12 tournament championship every time that they've entered as the #1 seed in that tournament. And obviously 9 straight regular season championships, that tells you a lot.
They are the...
And if Brenda, if you didn't say that, sorry. I believe I heard her say that, though. I was doing a little cleaning.
Well, I appreciate you attempted to give credit if and when that's where the credit is due. Johnson, the runner away from the basket. Dilk on the floor. Hillman joins her down there. Possession arrow in favor of Michigan State.
Right here, Cook coming off of that timeout. Takes a dribble, and that knee is feeling good. Good hang time. Been impressed with her play today again with that injury to the knee. Just depends on how she's feeling. And I want to go back. Brenda may have said when they enter undefeated in conference play. Whatever one that is, Brenda, just tweet me, girl. Send me a text.
So a foul on the other end, and once again, as you mentioned, LaChina, Michigan in the bonus, so they'll go to the line.
And some empty possessions for Michigan State. Again, as the game goes on, the intentionality on the offensive end has to be there.
Dilk at the line for Michigan, shooting 2.
We're down by 7. Amy Dilk needing to knock down free throws. They're getting their chances at the line. And Dilk hits her first free throw of the afternoon to cut the lead to 6. Just getting over half court. To your point with China, some of those empty possessions. The Spartans have only put up 7 points so far in this fourth quarter. They look to their senior Jenna Allen. On the defensive foul on Church.
And that's a big call. That's a big call because I felt like Allen was open early, but the officials make the right one because you see the defense was not there. Late rotation. Jenna Allen will get to go to the free throw line.
And that's Deja Church's 5th personal foul of the game. Kim Barnes-Arico will have to call on a Kenray Johnson as Deja Church fouls out. Allen at the free throw line, knocks down the first of 2. Originally committed to IU and then decided to change things around. Her gut told her she belonged at Michigan State, and what a career she's had. Now 18 points for the senior out of Bedford, Indiana. Hillman now with a career high 25 points as Naz Hillman keeping the Wolverines in this one. Two minutes to go. 6 points separate the 2 in-state rivals. Michigan State trying to extend that lead, and they do off of Nia Glauden's layup. And a costly turnover there for the Wolverines.
Well, with Church fouling out and some other things happening defensively for Michigan, this is a favorable matchup, and the freshmen ain't scared in the big rivalry game.
Wolverines have their work cut out for them. The freshman with a career-high 25 points for her team, down by 8. When you're on the road and you're playing in the Breslin Center, it's just a really tough place to play, as Jenna Allen and company have done a great job defending home court. 13-1 this season.
Well, Hillman has 4 fouls in this game, so you would think that the way she has been so effective on the offensive end, that Michigan State would really make a pointed effort to attack her.
Thome also carrying 4 fouls with her. 5 to go on the shot clock. Cauley needs to get it up. And a foul by Munger just before the shot clock expires.
And Cauley is just crafty. I mean, she gets hang time, athletic. Not every player can create that kind of contact in that situation, but she was up in the air and made an adjustment. Very smart move on her part.
Yeah, she said earlier this week that this was really gut check time for the Spartans. They've responded here this afternoon, stretching the lead now to 10, just over a minute to go. Munger trying to bring the Wolverines back, no good. Hillman following that rebound. Well, to cap off your weekend with SportsCenter, hosted by Levy and Maine. That's Steve Levy and Kenny Maine. They'll break down the possible tournament teams with Selection Sunday 3 weeks away. Plus, former NFL All-Pro Jared Allen's plan to put together a team of NFLers to compete in the 2022 Winter Olympics in curling. And the latest on Bryce Hawker. SportsCenter, 11 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. Curling? I'll be interested to tune into that one. So Michigan and Michigan State head back to their respective benches. Official review underway. Trying to see who at last went off of. The officials looking over at the table.
Looked like it went off Naz Hillman on that right hand right there in the middle. There are a lot of hands in there.
See, Allen touches it there, and then Hillman comes right there at the end to get a finger on it. Or at least that's the way it appears from our replay. So Kim Barnes-Arico and her team just waiting on. They will finish out the season on March 3rd against Wisconsin. Unless they're able to come back and this one.
Call on the floor stands. That ball was off Hillman. Michigan State ball. And McCutcheon just loses her footing there.
So Michigan gets the ball right back.
Tara McCutcheon here dribbling in the backcourt. You see, just stumbles on her own. No contact. Good tie up there by the Wolverines.
Once again, that's been happening all afternoon long for the Wolverines. The men in action later today, to just around 4 o'clock in Ann Arbor. Michigan State going into the Chrysler Center to take on the Wolverines.
Michigan's had some games this season where they've had 20 turnovers and still won. Nebraska, at Penn State, Indiana most recently. I believe those were the games where they were without Dilk. But you can't come on the road in this environment, have 24 turnovers. That's not easy to recover from.
No, not at all. And you have to credit the defense of Michigan State, and what they were able to do was create points off of those turnovers. More importantly, so a reminder to our folks, if the Big Ten tournament started today, this is what it would look like, not taking into consideration, of course, the final in this one. It would be Michigan at number 4, Maryland with the top seed. They would have the bye through the first and second rounds and would see action in the quarterfinals.
I want to send our well wishes once again to Coach Vivian Stringer, who has announced she will not be with her team for the remainder of the regular season. due to exhaustion. So we definitely want to send our thoughts and prayers to her, as well as Gino Auriemma, who will miss today's game for the Huskies. Chris Daly will take over head coaching assignment. Coach Auriemma is ill, under the weather. So we'll send our thoughts to both.
For sure. The Hall of Famer, C. Vivian Stringer, did not coach in that game on Thursday against Michigan. And Hillman gets that one to fall. A quick timeout taken by Kim Barnes-Arico.
Oz Hillman has impressed me. I mean,
with a 72-64 lead, Michigan State on top. We'll toss it to the studio with John Brickley. Thanks so much, John. And back here, it's really been an impressive showing from Michigan State, responding after dropping their first game at home to Michigan State on Thursday, trying to snap that 3-game losing skid. And they came out really looking strong, and they were led by their senior again, who helped to fuel them early on, Jenna Allen.
Yeah, a loss at home can really shake up a team like this that has had such success playing on their home court. And at the end of the day, Michigan State needed either Jenna Allen or Taryn McCutcheon to really find their offense. Both of them have in stretches in this game, but more than anything, the leader that Jenna Allen has been for this team all season long, you can tell that her teammates wanted to reward her today. It was about her, and she did her part as well by starting off with a high-level intensity and setting the tone in this rivalry game, this important game, as they finish out the regular season.
And when we talked with Coach Merchant earlier today, we asked, what type of player has she been in your program? She says, I've loved her persistent pursuit in trying to be the best player that she could be, a dedicated player in this program, a great student and ambassador for us. Jenna Allen has meant so much to our program.
Yeah, one of the notes that I had from her game, I guess I did her freshman or sophomore year, Susie Merchant was just talking about how she loved to pass the basketball. And it sometimes is a lost art, you know, in this game where we talk about the three-point shot so much, or breaking down people off of the dribble. A teammate that is selfless, that will do whatever it takes to win, is something that is just becoming more rare. And Jenna Allen caught the national attention with the success that Michigan State has had, especially beginning of the year, beating Oregon and everything else we talked about. And she handled that just as humbly as you could ask. Yeah. But Susie Merchant said she would not have been happier to see it happen for a more deserving player than Allen.
And you see the Allen family here in support of Jenna, her parents, along with her brothers, John and Jarrett. So for this Michigan group, again, their last loss came to Michigan State back on January 27th, but that really propelled them in Big Ten play, moving them up all the way 6 spots to 4th best in the conference right now. And so when you look at the Wolverines' resume for the season, you know, you see that early in the year they were able to pick up a win against an SEC opponent in Missouri. Another good team at the time was Minnesota, although the Golden Gophers have kind of fallen off. But one more recently, earlier this month, was Iowa.
And by my calculation, they just really don't have any losses to teams that have an RPI over 80. So that's a good sign.
And in your mind, when you think back a couple of years ago, they go on to win the WNIT. They've had consistently, 20 wins under Kim Barnes-Arico. What's made this program, so successful?
Well, it does start with Kim Barnes-Arico and her toughness. She came from St. John's after taking that program to new heights, to new levels, and she brought that New York style to Michigan, and it's really been in her ability to recruit players like a Naz Hillman. I mean, that's a turning point for your program when you look at this freshman class, but the first time having those double-figure conference wins for 3 straight seasons, I mean, it just says that she's changed the culture, and that's not surprising if you know Kim Barnes-Arico.
The Wolverines will look to regroup after this one. As we mentioned, their final game before heading into the Big Ten tournament against Wisconsin at home on March 3rd.
But it also takes the commitment of players like Hallie Thome, who's going to foul out here, or Munger coming into Michigan at a time when they're starting to build and believing in the vision.
Great moment here for Jenna Allen. Standing ovation for the senior out of Bedford, Indiana. Her last game at home. The long embrace with her coach, Susie Merchant, the family watching on as well. An 18-point performance and 7 rebounds for Jenna Allen, the senior.
And I believe she has a younger sister that's going to go on to play at IU.
So the hugs continue. Elijah Bond, who played at Ohio State, embracing Allen. And when you just think about all that you put into playing at the D1 level of Power 5, I mean, from the start, she was ready.
No one wants to lose on their senior day. It's a day that is supposed to be special and that you remember forever. Well, this is going to be extra special for Jenna Allen because of her performance, her tenacity on the glass. She was efficient with the basketball, and she said she wanted today to be memorable, and she put her name on it. This is an important victory for her team for a lot of reasons. Imagine carrying the pressure of it being a 3-game losing streak for your team you need to break. You've been excellent at home, so you want to continue that. Your senior day, and it's against your rivals in Michigan. It's a lot to carry.
And she was able to handle that pressure and help lead her team. And I love the fact that she finished off with kissing the Spartan at midcourt. That's a tradition that you see for both the men's and women's basketball teams. So neat to see. So this game continues to play on out. Michigan State taking the timeout. Meanwhile, Kim Barnes-Arico not happy with the fact that her team has matched a season high of 25 turnovers. Something they'll look to clean up before they head into the Big Ten tournament. And so as we look at some of the storylines we've discussed all throughout the broadcast, just kind of what's happening in the world of women's college basketball. It's been open season, honestly, this year. No clear-cut winner. I think they were talking about that in the studio at halftime. Oregon lost 2 games, but they came back to win today after dropping to Oregon State and UCLA. Of course, Arike Agupawale, the all-time leading scorer for the Fighting Irish. And how about Joni Taylor? Shout out to her mom, dropping off her second kid, delivering, and then saying, yeah, I'm going to come back on the bench like less than 24 hours later.
She's one of the toughest people I know. I mean, even with her first child, she didn't realize that she was in labor. I'm like, how do you not know you're in labor? Congratulations to Joni and Darius.
And Michigan State completes the season sweep of their in-state rival, Michigan, snapping that 3-game skid led by their senior, the one and only Jenna Allen. Our final score, 74-64 for LaChina Robinson on Tiffany Green. Now let's send it to Thompson Bowling Arena in Knoxville.